My temporary gavel. The Village of Hainesville regular board meeting will now come to order on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2016, at 6:30 on the dot. If everybody will please rise and I'll lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Linda Soto.
Present.
Trustees Darrenowski.
Here.
Georgianne Duberstein. Here. Barrett.
Here.
Hine. Here. Daly.
Here.
George Duberstein.
Here.
Okay, and we are in quorum with the full board. Before we go on with approval of our agenda, I'm happy to announce we have a very special guest here tonight. We have Jeff Werfel, our local Lake County rep from the county board. He is the commissioner representing District 6. And Jeff is going to give us an update on things in Lake County, and I know some of us are interested to hear about the Washington Street project.
Thank you, Mayor Soto. It sounded good. Yeah, actually, primarily I was going to talk about Washington Street construction. Thanks so much for letting me have a few minutes of your time. I appreciate it, Mayor and trustees. I just drove through Washington Street coming here to Village Hall, and I'm sure as most of you have seen, it's quite the construction site now. I mean, that hole is getting really deep on the east side in particular. But more importantly, what the Mayor and I had talked about last week when we met was just making sure that some of the Hainesville issues around that construction, particularly right in the middle of the road there where the wetland is and where the horseshoe and the bike path kind of goes down and away from Washington Street, and where there's obviously a number of Hainesville residents and their lots in their backyards abutting to the work that's going on there right now. So I did want to just give you guys a little update. I mean, overall, the project has been going very well. It's obviously it's a multi-year project, and it's an inconvenience for us. But once it's done, it's going to make a huge difference in our traffic issues in this area. So I'm really happy about how it's been going so far. The most important thing in the upcoming year with the construction, this is kind of where this is kind of the phase of the project that is, I guess you would call it Hainesville intensive or Hainesville centric, with the work that's being done on the lift station, the road widening, particularly obviously on the south end, which affects Hainesville incorporated limits, and the bike path that goes along, that runs parallel and goes along with Washington Street. So if you've seen the bike path right now, it is temporarily closed. What's happening right now is it's temporarily closed. They are putting in a sewer pipe on the south side of the street, or where the new street will be, I guess you would say, the south side of the construction zone. And that sewer pipe is actually going to be going underneath the wetland itself. I call it the horseshoe. Is there better? Should I refer to the horseshoe wetland? Yeah. So that pipe is going to be going underneath that, and I just had a long conversation with the Department of Transportation for the county, the project manager who's in charge of this project. Had a long conversation with him this afternoon. The bike path, that closure of it is temporary while this is happening, so we'll reopen again. They're anticipating about a week. Obviously now it's a little cold outside and everything, so the path is probably not getting as much use. But what I did want to bring up is that, again, this is the Hainesville intensive portion of the project, and that bike path is ultimately going to be closed up once they start building the road on the south end. It's basically a construction zone. there isn't going to be any way to kind of have a temporary detour of that bike path. It's just not workable, too dangerous ultimately. So I think it's important for all of us to be able to manage expectations of residents regarding the availability of that path. It's liable to be closed, frankly, during much of the summer, much of the spring and summer, which wouldn't be ideal for the folks that use it, but it is.
It's a necessary evil.
It's necessary, right? It is what it is. So, the other important issues that the mayor and I had talked about. Let's talk a little bit about the clear cutting that occurred in the horseshoe, so to say. I had a similar incident like this just last year in another portion of my district in Rollins, Savannah. Where the Forest Preserve District was doing a similar thing. It was part of a larger restoration project, and it was the elimination of invasive and what are considered not ideal or ecologically good plants. So it does end up being trees and woody undergrowth bushes like buckthorn in particular, box elder kind of trees and everything that end up getting cut. Similar to what just happened here in Hainesville, it happens during the winter season. When those trees in particular are removed, it's pretty stark. If you've been used to seeing those trees, and they've been a buffer for you for years and years, both to that bike path, in this case, and to the road itself to Washington, it can be quite stark, and that's when the phone calls start. And Mayor Soto flew me in that she was taking quite a few calls, and I'm sure some of you have been getting them too. And I know a couple of you you're in the neighborhood, so I'm sure you're hearing it yourselves. The one thing I did want to just say or reassure you about is that I've had extensive conversations now within Lake County Department of Transportation, both with Paula Trigg, who's our executive director, and as I was mentioning earlier in this, the gentleman who's the project manager for the overall project. Mayor Soto has clued me into the fact that several years ago, when this project was getting started and getting ready to be kicked off, there was an agreement between Hainesville and Lake County Department of Transportation to work together. That when we got to this point in the construction, that the village of Hainesville would be involved at a, I'll call it, very granular level. The mayor was just letting me know that you guys have got a lot of great, which I do know firsthand, you have a lot of great experience when it comes to restoration and just good experience with the restoring of native habitat and the creation of it. So I've pressed that onto the staff of the Department of Transportation, and ultimately, most importantly, the project managers and the head of the Department of Transportation, the folks that we would be working with going forward. So, and we all know this. I'm sure we've all been in local government and public life long enough to know that once a project gets going and you have staff and engineers involved in things like that, things can just get going. And the conversations and agreements that would come to 2 years prior can sometimes fall through the cracks. What I really wanted to make sure happens here, what I want to make sure doesn't happen also, is just for Lake County and its contractors to start moving forward with work in that horseshoe area without making sure that they are coordinating and talking to Village of Hainesville first. I want us to be proactive, not reactive, which seems to be what the spirit of the whole conversation several years ago was. So I just wanted to reassure you, we've reiterated some of that, and we'll work very hard to make sure that happens. The young man that I talked to today, honestly, I drilled down pretty hard with him some of these details. I was like, you understand, The good news is that the contractor involved with the restoration of that area is Hay and Associates. I was apprised today that they do have they initial recommendation plan for like plantings and things like that. And I asked that if that's all in document form at this point, it does need to be, send it on to Hainesville, send it on to Minnesota so that you guys can all react to it. I would say this in particular is last year when I was dealing with a similar issue that I mentioned at Rollins, Savannah, I ended up going out with staff to the affected areas, the affected homeowners. To manage expectations of folks, I would just communicate, it's very stark right now. In the winter, it looks like that. But what it will be replaced with is going to effectively be a pretty good buffer, just like what y'all had before there. It's just that now the buffer itself will be, instead of invasive buckthorn, bat plants, essentially, bat plants and trees. It'll be the native species that are considered a lot more ecologically positive and better. But just like the overall road causing this inconvenience, this is a window now, this Overton window, or whatever you want to call it, where it's like boom, it's like I can see everything. And people on the bike path will be able to see right into my backyard or my house or whatever, and they can see the road. So it is stark. I'm using an example from last year with another portion of my district. Those folks, we spent the time to listen to what they had to say. We gave them the opportunity to, provide a little bit of feedback about what they would like to see and whatnot. And overall, they're very happy now. They're very pleased with the results, and they are actually seeing that like, oh, okay, it's not going to be a desert in between, my backyard and the road or the bike trail. But there is buffer there. It's just a different kind of buffer. Actually, most of them come back and said, it's a lot better looking than the blackthorn and the other underbrush that we had before. That's my goal here, to do the same thing. So you all need to let me know if you're not getting, the right kind of cooperation from Lake County staff. I would hope nothing like that.
I do want to say that everybody's reached out to me that I've talked to, and then after you and I had that initial meeting, they made contact again. So I think we're on the right path, and I want to make it clear that we were never at odds over this thing. It's just my concern, like you said, once the project gets going, it can accelerate very quickly.
Absolutely.
And things get, like you said, overlooked. I do want to stress, though, for the residents that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, this summer is, Hainesville intense, as you said. It's going to continue to be stark because there's going to be controlled burns and there's going to be herbiciding.
Yes.
And then seeding. So the plants that we're talking about, that's 2017, okay?
Maybe. Some plants take 3 years before they bloom, the native plants.
Well, that's the seeds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Yes, no, I'm talking about as far as any trees or plants coming in.
Yeah.
Outside of the seed, that's not going to happen and can't happen until 2017. So for the record, I just want everybody to understand that. That is the last thing that gets done. And it's supposed to be last, and it should be last. We just don't want it overlooked. And we want it done well.
Right.
And by well, I mean, you have to say yes, native species is one thing. We would like to have a say in the selection of those types of native species.
And I have mentioned that same thing. I've asked the staff to make sure, as was agreed several years ago, that this is that it's a partnership between Hainesville and the county on this project when it comes to that part of it, for them to be proactive, not to start doing work and then having to react. It's easy to do. It's easy enough to do here. We've got plenty of time.
Yes.
The mayor's exactly right. There's going to be that horseshoe area is actually going to be an area of intense activity this year. There's going to be digging, pipes going in, obviously the road coming over. The good news is that once it's done, I think it should look pretty nice. I mean, it should be improved. I also, just to let you know, I stress the mayor brought up the bridge that is in the horseshoe too. So as long as we're going to have all those resources there, I've asked them to take a look at that bridge and make any kind of improvements, upgrades, maintenance that needs to be done on it. Because
Excellent.
in our conversation, you mentioned, getting some feedback that maybe it's time for that thing, spruced up a little bit, or might be in need of some repairs.
Yes.
It is checked every other year. It's
It's like an
inspected every other
underpass
year.
underneath the creek.
I'm sorry?
We'd like an underpass underneath the creek, do a repair. One thought.
All the underpass money is for the road to the east.
The Grace
I'd love to help you out.
One question. I took a couple calls and about this unhappy people, so that's okay. But I went on their website, Lake County DOT, to look to see if I could see any sketches or drawings
Yeah.
of the end product. And I couldn't find them. I don't know if
Yeah.
they're there and I missed them, but if they're not, maybe a sketch of that and what that horseshoe area might look like in the
Right.
future.
And I believe that there aren't any right now. Like I said, what I heard back today when I was talking with the project manager is, again, the contractor, Haley Associates, has got some initial recommendations as to seating plan or what they would like to see there and everything. That's what you're asking for, Trustee Daly, what you're asking for is exactly what I would like to see come out of this, but in cooperation with Hainesville.
Yeah, it'd be nice for us to have a meeting and then that to occur.
Right.
Because the only drawings or renderings we have right now, which are great, is regarding the lift station.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Because we had to
Oh, I've
approve
seen
that,
those.
we had to approve, and they had to create that
Right.
because of the obligation of the special use permit,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think now is the time, and I've asked them to reach out to you. It sounds like Carrie did, and I'm sure there'll be some more. And let me know if the progress of that is not there. But that's, I would like to see the landscaping plan and vision for that area to come out of, that cooperative effort, which would happen this year in preparation for making it reality and executing on it next year.
Quick question, Jeff. My wife and myself both travel Washington every day. And the turn by Harriet Farms, my wife's had several close calls during the morning traffic or during her commute. I've almost got clobbered there a couple times. Is there any way that we can maybe improve visibility or slow people? Maybe it's a question for Chief Romini. I don't know if you've had a lot of calls for service here at that intersection yet, but boy, I'll tell you, I had a couple close ones. I was out there about 3 o'clock in the morning with my semi, and I had some guy just come blow right out there. I stood my truck right up on its nose, and I missed him by about 2 feet.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you offline a little bit about it.
Okay.
I can certainly talk to,
Blowing out of Harriet Farms?
Yeah, come right out there, just pulled right out in front of me, and if I wasn't empty, I would run him over and kill him.
I have gotten an email or two regarding some visibility and signage issues from Highland Lake folks on the north side that we've tried to take care of. This sounds similar.
Yeah.
It's visibility plus signage
And that's right where it curves.
That's right.
and that's right where it curves, so I'm envisioning, I'm thinking of it right now, it's a kind of a blind spot almost. Is what
Because everybody's in a hurry to get out in front of the school buses because they
Big
got
deal.
behind the buses, they got stopped for the crossing, and at 7:30, 7:15 in the morning, my wife's going to school, and
Yeah.
all people trying to get out here and farms out of Washington, get these tollways.
It's area.
Another thing with Washington, and I know that probably nothing could be done, but I was driving it this morning a little after 7, and I assume that it's because they've got the flagman out there, but it was backed up, I don't know how far toward Cedar Lake, and then some cars were stopped in the middle of the street, which doesn't help us that are trying to go across Hainesville. So I don't know whether they could do that a little later after rush hour, or whether we just, have to deal with it.
I'll mention that too. Try to be cognizant of the ebbs and tides of the traffic flow. Better if you're going to have to close lanes and do things like that for periods of time. That's not to do it during rush hour in an ideal situation. But that's actually one other thing I wanted to mention is that we, again, as part of the overall inconvenience of it, there's going to be closures of lanes, of that one lane going through for work that's being done. Think of that kind of, exactly what you're describing, I think, George, you end up being stopped for a few minutes because nobody can get through.
Majority of the time, we'll at least get advance notice so we can post.
Oh, yeah, this I'm literally talking about during the course of the day. Sometimes, traffic is going to get stopped in order for earth-moving vehicles to do their thing and come through. But if it's anything that involves a closure or a drastic change, that would involve more, days rather than minutes. That would have to be communicated ahead of time.
And Raleigh Park, because there were a lot coming from the west going on Washington, so it is going to affect them too.
Yeah. So that's kind of the lay of the land with it. I've answered any questions regarding that. We'll work together on this. It can be done, and once the improvement is done, I think it's going to be pretty.
Oh, I
fabulous.
will be outstanding once it's done. We just have to grin and bear it, as they say.
And I do apologize. I'm a little nasally. I was sick last week and kind of getting over
Oh,
the cold, so I'm a little hoarse here.
If I may, a little question of, side question. of curiosity.
Microphone.
Are you aware of any plan or idea of doing the same thing at 120 and the railroad that they have done or are doing with Washington and they did do with Lawrence?
That's a great question. That's a great scenario. Great like to have scenario. 120 is a state road. I can't totally speak for the plans
If you
there.
heard anything about it?
Yeah. Well, and that area is Grace Lake, my old stomping grounds as a village trustee, as a local official like you guys, the municipal level. And I can tell you, we'd love to see something like that as the larger community outside of Grace Lake.
I haven't seen it on any long-range plans.
But
Given the state of Illinois right now,
Right.
I
Yes,
would not.
you're needing to, but that's it. Well, and the other part of it is that any improvements that involve kind of 120 are kind of threaded now a little bit into the 53 and 125 pass plan. But I can tell you that Grace Lake, in some of their in some of their comprehensive plan kind of scenarios or whatever, we have. Grace Lake has proposed certain traffic changes to that area, not involving the underpass, but the other changes that could have a significant impact. And actually, long term, I have heard one thing at the state level, which is Route 83, following or running so close to the train tracks. That long term for the state, that's something that has to change. And that would have an impact on the particular intersection. If the road ultimately was moved, what they're talking about is something. If there's ever money for Route 83 improvements, part of that improvement would involve moving Route 83 to the east, so it's not so close to the railroad tracks. And that would give the opportunity to make some positive changes to that particular intersection we're talking about. Right, we're talking about 120 and the railroad tracks.
If they would have put in a right turn lane when they put in the left turn lane on the west side of 120 and 83, that would have done a lot to alleviate some of that
I
traffic.
agree with you, absolutely agree with you. Yeah, so that's it. You guys have got my information for contacting me by email or cell phone or whatever, so.
We
Thanks so
really
much.
appreciate you coming tonight, Jeff.
Sorry if this was a little long and involved, but.
No, it was perfect. It was perfect. We appreciate your efforts, and we know you'll stay on top of it.
Thanks for having me, I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot, Jeff. Oh, sorry, Terry Brown.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jeff, thank you. Two things. Is the project on schedule?
Oh,
Based from day one to now, and number two is that what would be the substantial completion date?
thanks for asking that. That's a great question. I actually did want to mention that. The project is on schedule. Actually, the weather gods have been beneficent, so to say. They're feeling very good that this portion of the project, this phase of the project, think of it as the middle phase, the phase from the phase of Washington from Hainesville Road east to Harriet Way. the entrance into Heritage Farms. That's the second phase or middle phase. That would be done at the end of 2016, except for some landscaping kind of
Right.
things. But
But the road,
the road construction,
station, all
right,
that.
median, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they're feeling very good that that will be done by the end of the season this year, 2016. And obviously, the last part goes into 2017, which is the giant underpass underneath the railroad and everything. And what was the other part? That was,
Well, just is the project on schedule, what would be the substantial completion?
oh,
date?
yeah,
That's-
yeah, right. So that's what it is.
We're hoping you're still with us, Terry, when that happens.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Jeff is leaving to attend another meeting shortly, so we'll excuse him. Well, he
Next-
wanted to stay.
next
I
one
told
I'll
him
come
we
to,
will
I'm gonna
let
stay.
him. That's okay. Okay, so looking at our agenda, do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustees Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgiana Duberstein.
Aye.
Barrett.
Aye.
Hein.
Aye.
Daley.
Aye.
And George Duberstein.
Aye.
Okay, at this time we take public comments. Do we have anyone wishing to make a comment? Fill out a green sheet and give it to our deputy clerk. I notice we have a gentleman that I think may be a student that's here.
Yes.
I'm guessing correctly. So you're from Grace Lake Central?
No, CLC.
CLC, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So why are you here? What class or what's your assignment, may I ask?
State and local politics. So I have to make her come to the meeting, write down all the information, and then write a paper on it.
Awesome. Do you live in our village?
I do.
Awesome. So we have an election coming up. You could run and be a trustee. You could run.
I can go to a lot of meetings.
Got a little too much going on right now.
Okay, all right. Well, keep it in mind for the future,
All
okay?
right.
All right, well, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so no other takers on public comments, huh? All right, do I have approval, or I should say a motion for the omnibus vote agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustees Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgiana Duberstein.
Aye.
Barrett.
Aye.
Hein.
Aye.
Daley.
Aye.
And George Duberstein.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, village engineer Terry Graham, can I give you the floor? Anything to report or no?
No, I was just gonna say, Mr. Zahner did not give me anything for tonight.
That's fine. He does his monthly report, so at the March 8th meeting, I just wanted to give you an opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay. And we have given the attorney the night off as well. And I'm very excited to ask everybody to join me in giving a very warm welcome to our new public works supervisor. Mike had quite a baptism by fire this last week because we had half our staff out sick, and so we were a spread kind of thing, and we couldn't spend as much time with him, but boy, did he roll with it and was very enthusiastic. And of course, Terry Brown, we couldn't have done it without you to be there to help us with the training and everything. So, Mike, if you have anything to report or anything you'd like to share with us, please do.
I do have a couple of things I'd like to say. In my first week, I received a very warm welcome from the mayor and all of her staff. Terry Graham, I'd like to thank him for helping me get going. I also met with Tyler, and we discussed a typical work week through his experience. In the afternoon of my first day, I met with Dave Schultz at the Public Works Building, and he seems to be a great asset to the village. We had a minor snow event that evening with no issues. Since I've been there, I started cleaning, organizing my desk and work area to get that in good working order. We took care of some minor maintenance issues in the Public Works Building. We had 6 fluorescent lights that needed replacing, nothing major. I also met with Dave Coulter of Native Restoration Services, and we discussed his role with the village. I'd like to reiterate how excited I am about this opportunity to lead our Public Works Department into the future. And I'd like to thank everybody once more. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, welcome aboard, Mike. And we'll move on to our police chief, Chief Perlini.
Nothing big, just cleaning up some loose ends on those burglaries. Again, I think I said it last meeting, and I count my blessings, but we have not had a car or residential burglary in town here since we made those arrests. So I think we probably got our responsible parties at this time.
Excellent.
Otherwise, it's been pretty slow, which is good news.
That is good news. Excellent. Madam Treasurer, Kelly Hensley.
Thank you. As the mayor stated, it has been, last week was an adventure for Roseanne and I. I want to personally thank Roseanne for all her help that she's did with the phone with us last week with the utility billing help. We had to get the utility bills out, mailed out. She stepped right up as always. Thank you very much, Ro. And I'm hoping our 2 staff members, they're slowly coming back this week and they're catching up, which is helping Roseanne and I catch up. Awesome. Over the last couple of weeks since the last meeting, been busy tweaking the budget with the mayor and trustee Daly and staff. Continuing working on the utility billing training, and Donna's doing well. Completing other new hire tasks for Mike over these last couple of days. Since last week kind of got a little bit, but fully going into it. We'll be meeting again hopefully tomorrow for a couple more items. And that's all I have besides.
Talk about emailing bills.
Oh, yes. Donna tested out just a little prior to the billing, emailing out a couple of bills to see how we can do this.
Utility billing.
The utility
Yeah.
billing.
Kind of a pilot test.
Right. So we set up trustee Daly, Roseanne Stark, and the village hall gets 2 bills. We bill as 0, but I have to show our usage and forward that on to the Lake County for our sewer portion. So last week with the utility billing, I did go through that process and email those out. The only thing I did forget is send the attachment for the newsletter, but it's very, the system is wonderful to do this. I went right in my email and boom, there was my 2 bills. Like, it was very nice. We're gonna start looking at promoting it more with the next newsletter. Try to get more people signed up to receive this. That'll, let's get earth friendly here, help save the village some money with
Paper.
other paper or staff
Postage,
time,
yeah.
postage, and I'm gonna.
And staff time would be the
And
big
staff
thing
time.
to say.
Will the recipients of the bill be able to pay online?
Yes, they can pay online now.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we have the
That's not my
capabilities.
department.
Yes, and I've asked your other department if he wanted to pay online or set up direct debit. He declined because he likes to see us. But yes, we have many capabilities for residents to pay their utility bill. Go through our website, set up for auto direct debit, drop it off, come to us and see us. So that program you'll be seeing a little bit more. We want to really try to advertise it more coming in the next couple of newsletters to get more people on board.
Excellent.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Roseanne, our deputy clerk, do you have anything to report?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the mayor's report. And again, last week, I thanked Kelly and Roseanne. They adjusted their schedules and really dove in. I did cancel some meetings so I could be here to help cover the office hours, but I'm not gonna kid you. I mean, Kelly and Ro did the lion's share of the work. Fortunately, we lucked out that foot traffic into the village hall was light, phone calls were light, so I didn't really have to pick up the phone that much, but I was here nonetheless and tried to do my share. It's a good exercise, I guess, because it's eye-opening sometimes, and it makes you rethink of things we could do differently, or, how we better prepare for these type of situations. So, again, thank you to Kelly and Ro. And I am happy to report our utility clerk is back and feeling better, and our village clerk is back. She's still on some treatment. She's doing fine. She worked half days, but she'll be back full time, I'm sure, in a few days. I had forwarded in my information memo to everyone that Swelco is calling what they're calling an emergency meeting. They're waiting to hear back from all the members if we can get quorum. And this all has to do, again, on the electronic recycling issue. We went into a crisis over a year ago on this issue and made the decision to subsidize the electronic recycling program in hopes that we would get new legislation passed that would help better accommodate or support the electronic recycling and or get other vendors on board to offer programs that would allow us to continue the electronic recycling. As you know, we had to greatly reduce the number of electronic recycling sites in the county, and we're very lucky to have the municipalities that offer it. Grays Lake is our closest, but it does put an extra burden on that municipality because they are getting obviously a lot of traffic in their town with these electronic items. And so we have voted to subsidize this program twice already at about $110,000 each time. So I don't think anybody would be surprised if I tell you that we've had nothing encouraging come out of Springfield, no action at all. And now we were given notice by our one vendor to Swelco, and we're still trying to work out a deal with another vendor at a no-cost program. But what it means is we would have to subsidize this program again. And the executive board was not going to vote to do that, and we wanted to go to the full membership of the board to say, what do we do? I am a member of both the executive board of Swelco and I serve on their legislative committee as well. And quite frankly, my personal opinion has been both times was not to subsidize, to shut it all down, or at least announce we're shutting it all down, to get the proper attention of all the residents of Lake County, the businesses, and the legislators, because I'm sorry, the 21st century electronic recycling to me is a no-brainer. We're going backwards if we're not going to offer it. So stay tuned, or please, I will forward you the information when the meeting is firmly set and consider attending. And let's hope for the best with electronic recycling.
Excuse me, Linda,
Yeah.
in your note, you said March 3rd.
I think it was March 8th. Was a
Maybe I
potential
just-
date.
maybe I was looking online. So
Yeah, I think the date that they're waiting to get feedback from everybody if we can have quorum. So I will forward a firm announcement and we'll post the meeting on the website so everybody knows. So please stay tuned.
If it's the 8th, it's our board meeting.
Oh, well, then you're right.
It's the 3rd.
It is the 3rd? Okay, thank you. I'm thinking of March 8th, and the reason I'm thinking of March 8th, that is my next line here, we are going to have a public hearing March 8th of the zoning board. The village board also serves as the zoning board of Hainesville, so we will have a public hearing at 6:30 p.m. The purpose of reviewing and giving consideration and entertaining public comment on proposed new uses within our zoning. We're not entertaining any zoning changes, it's just a list of allowed uses under each zone, whether it's residential, commercial, light industrial, and so on. And the reason being is our current list is very antiquated, it's very outdated. There's uses on there that just don't even exist. I don't expect anybody to come in with millinery repair anytime soon. There's a lot of 21st century very common uses that aren't even listed anywhere. So is it allowed use or isn't it? So that is the purpose of that hearing. So it's important that we have a quorum for that public hearing, and as soon as that closes, our regular board meeting will follow. We will not take action on adopting anything that same night. We will at least wait till the following board meeting so we can take any concerns, ideas, whether it's from the board members or the public, into consideration. And then on a final note, I've had the police department busy giving out some warnings At this time of year, we give warnings for various code violations. Number one is holiday decorations being taken down. We had a notice in the January newsletter, we just sent one in the February newsletter, and it's been a mild winter, so there's been ample opportunity. So warnings are being distributed. I don't know if we're done with the entire village or...
Probably got about half to 3/4 of it done today.
Okay. Garbage cans is another issue. I know that's near and dear to some residents. And then the other issue, which is a big one this year. This is going to be what I call the year of the fences. We have a lot of fences in very bad repair. Some of these fences are 20 years old, put in when people first built their house. If they're wooden, they're rotten, they haven't been maintained. We had a tornado event August 2nd, which did a lot of damage. We had people do fence repairs, that some people that didn't do fence repairs or didn't do a very good job. We've had several storms blow through since, as recent as Friday on high winds. We have got fence panels all over the place. So people are getting warnings because fences need to be maintained. And you have a choice. I don't want to hear weather as an excuse. I own a fence myself. My fence is old. I've had to replace several posts. My husband and my son go out periodically to reinforce the panels. Do what you have to do. You can tie them up till the weather gets better, but you need to make your fence look presentable. And if you can't or you don't want to, you also have the other option of taking it down. Maybe you put it up when you had a pet. Maybe you put it up when you had little kids. If you don't need the fence anymore, you can choose to take it down. So those warnings have gone out. So if you have any questions, please contact us. We need to know that you have a plan and that you're going to take action to do repair in a timely manner.
Mayor, if the option is to take the fence down, but it's one of the perimeter fences, and I guess each individual, even though the perimeter fences go along and they look like they're one unit, they're really, each section is of the homeowner's responsibility. If an individual homeowner decides to take the fence down, are we saying in those cases it's all right to do that and we just have a big hole in that perimeter fence?
Yes.
Okay.
We have no legal way. Now, that being said, after the tornado, we had one fence that was damaged, and it was in real ill repair, quite frankly, long before the tornado ever hit. The tornado just finally took it out. And we gave them ample time because we know people had storm recovery, maybe working with their insurance companies. They didn't want to fix it, and they said maybe they would fix it next year. So we told them they either needed to take it down or repair it. Now, they finally chose to repair it because on Hainesville Road, if you back up to the bike path, odds are you aren't going to want people to give that fast a track to your residents. But we have no legal basis at this time, and I don't know that we could, quite frankly. We're not a home rule community, and there's no homeowners association. There are a few subdivisions that are in Grays Lake or Round Lake that require those fences to be maintained, but they also have a homeowners association that requires that for that subdivision. So,
I think part of it's going to be getting the frost out of the ground and the concrete out of the ground. Because I lost 3 panels in the last windstorm, and I spent a better portion of Friday and Saturday just driving 2x4s into the ground to stake my fence back up so it stands up in one piece.
and I understand that, but you know, you can put a temporary metal stake in the ground. It's not going to go down deep, but it'll at least hold it up so the fence looks decent.
I tried metal stakes and it didn't work.
Really?
Yeah. Of course, I got a 6-foot privacy fence all around the back of my yard, so I ended up standing it up with 2x4s like you're pouring concrete, where I spent most of the day driving 2x4 spikes into the ground to build the support to hold the fence up.
Well, if you drive around the subdivision, you can see panels laying. I mean, just laying or leaning. Those can be addressed. So I think that's really the goal right now. So we will work with people. We want communication. You know, our building department also has a lot of great suggestions. So, any other questions on that, comments? Okay, that's all I have. Does the Great Age Club have any announcements?
No, nothing special, just remember that the meeting is the first Thursday of the month at 10:30 here in the village.
Okay, any other general announcements? Okay, let's move on to business. We have one item. This is an ordinance amending the refuse and yard waste collection rates in the village of Hainesville. And this is simply an increase that's dictated, quite frankly, by our contract. It's not that we just randomly decided. In fact, there's an adjustment each year, and sometimes it's pennies. And so last year, we didn't even bother. We actually were subsidizing by a few pennies the senior rate and the yard waste sticker rate. So this year we won't be subsidizing, but it's basically just to cover the cost from the contract. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Should we just tell people what it is, because you know, it's quite a big jump.
Sure.
It's 20 cents on.
It's 20 cents. We're going from $19 to $19.20 per month for garbage collection. The senior rate is $17 a month, so that will increase to $17.20 per month. And the yard waste sticker has increased a dime, so those will be $2.60 a piece. And Advanced Disposal will be sending out a letter shortly. It's a letter they send right as spring is approaching that gives you the option of doing a one-time subscription program for yard waste pickup, or it talks about, lets everybody knows where the yard waste stickers are available, and it's going to be $2.60 a piece for yard waste stickers. Okay.
I find it kind of strange that they're taking an increase when the price of fuel, which they run off of, which is their biggest component in their whole entire operation, is down by almost 50%.
Well, it's a contractual increase, isn't it?
Fine, but is there any way that we can go back in and negotiate that back out? I mean, when they priced this contract, fuel was over $4.50 a gallon. Last year it was down to $3, and now it's down to $2.
I highly doubt it. I'm willing to ask Walter Willis the question. I would still recommend we approve it, and then I'll go to- because there is no fuel clause or anything like that stated in the contract.
Okay.
We could put that in future contract, because I think 2017 is when we'll start.
Okay, yeah, we need to look at that, because right now with the price of fuel or oil down $31 a barrel, cost across the country, diesel fuels below $2 a gallon everywhere.
Yeah, but then what happens when we break down, it's great, and then when it goes back up to $4 or $5 a gallon, then do we want to be in a place where we're offering our residents saying, oh, sorry, we just negotiated this contract to save the 20 cents in 2016?
No, I'm not worried about the 20 cents right now. I'm just saying that we need to ask the question, how are they going to handle this with their fuel costs falling down out of the sky?
Well, that's what I'm
Their
saying.
margins are up, so we have to be able to just have a discussion with them.
We'll pose the question to Walter Willis and see if we can include something in next contract, because we'll be prepared for that next year.
Yeah, because I asked the question when we first did the contract, a couple of years ago, and everybody just automatically assumed that fuel was going to stay at $4 or $5 a gallon. I think we need to put some type of a step into a fuel surcharge program to go with this and have them bring it out for us so we can control our costs a little bit more.
Okay, let's see what we can find out. All right, thank you. So, we need a roll call still?
Yes.
Okay.
Trustees Darrenowski.
Aye.
Georgianne Duberstein.
Aye.
Barrett. Hein.
Aye.
Daly. And George Duberstein.
Aye.
Motion carried, and it's ordinance number 16-2-216.
Can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 7:19. If nobody needs a break, let's roll over into committee of the whole. That sound good? Okay, committee of the whole will now come to order on Tuesday, February 23rd, Village of Hainesville, 7:20. Roll call?
Mayor Linda Soto,
Still here.
trustees Darrenowski,
Here.
Georgianne Duberstein, Barrett,
Here.
Klein,
Here.
Bailey,
Oh, here.
George Duberstein.
Here.
Okay, we're still in quorum, and I need a motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
For the benefit of our guests, do you think we ought to explain what the committee and the whole meeting is? Just,
Okay. Oh, okay, so I have a couple comments and suggestions here. Number one, did you get copies of our meeting agendas?
Just the regular board meeting.
Okay. Do we have a committee of the whole agenda there? And just to quickly explain, we closed the regular board meeting, and that is where we take action and vote to approve a contract or make a decision. A committee of the whole meeting is just that. It's the board meeting as a committee for discussion purposes only. So whenever you see a meeting posted this way, legally, no action or votes can be taken. You could get or ask for a consensus of how to proceed on something so that a future board meeting, it could be put on an agenda for a vote. So that just gives you an idea. So this is going to be more discussion purposes that's taking place.
Thank you.
You're welcome.